on Midwest Access. We are live in Taopi, Minnesota, 1 year after an EF2 tornado took out a large portion of this town. I'm Kamie Roesler alongside Chief Meteorologist Nick Jansen. Nick, this is a town very familiar to you.
Yeah, we were both here this time last year, right? You were here on the 12th. I was here on the 13th. Looked completely different than what it does today, right? So it was amazing. It's been amazing today just being here and just being able to walk down the streets and just see the recovery process firsthand.
Yeah, we're looking at about 7 houses that are completely rebuilt already since a year ago when that tornado hit and demolished several homes. About half the town was taken out. The other half, they've redone their roofs, they've redone siding and some different things. Actually, right over here, this horse shed right here was new a year ago. It got taken out and now it's been rebuilt again. So that's just an example of some of the damage that we saw last year at this time.
And we're standing in front of the famous dollhouse picture, right? Which the entire side of the house that was here was completely gone from that tornado. We can still see some branches and limbs down back behind the house here, but obviously completely rebuilt, and it's great to see this recovery process.
Yeah, so today we're going to take you through some of the rebuild here in Taopi, and it's been pretty incredible. We'll have you here the whole hour in Taopi, and we've been talking about a year ago, okay, what it was like a year ago. So right now, let's take you back to what it was like on this night 1 year ago today.
Ground. We see the debris here coming, and this is not what we want to see here tonight. So this is why we've been trying to alert and warn people the past 2 days.
Now live from Taopi, Nick, you mentioned to me earlier the destruction is massive. I was there early this morning to hear the town was evacuated overnight, but thankfully no one killed. So what are you hearing from residents this evening?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, Kamie, is that no one died during this event last night. So this cell was warned at just right around 11 p.m. last night. We officially got confirmation with an observed tornado at 11:23 last night. The National Weather Service, with their storm surveys today, EF2 tornado with wind speeds at right around 132 miles per hour for peak winds. Now, I do have a community member with me. We have Bill Lukes. Now, Bill, you've been kind enough to talk to me for pretty much the past hour or so. What I want to ask you here, so last night, you and your girlfriend, Angie, who is the homeowner, you guys were in that room. I'm sorry, no, you're good. So that room right there.
Right there, the headboard is actually facing the wall.
Okay, so take me through, because you said last night that you wished you continued to watch us for 5 more minutes. Okay, so you guys, what woke you up last night when you were in the bed in that room that no longer has a wall?
Yeah. You know, it got eerily quiet, and then the first thing that woke us up was the bed moved.
So there you have it. And this is where, Nick, you were doing that interview. Right in front of this house.
Yeah.
It looked a lot different. Obviously, this house behind us right now, completely new.
Yep.
But the house that was here, built in the 1800s, looked like a dollhouse.
Yeah, it looked like a dollhouse. And I remember texting you the minute that I drove up that on April 13th, and my stomach dropped because I'd never seen damage like this before. And then, you know, I think even for me as a meteorologist, you always kind of think, well, that won't happen to me, right? Or that won't happen to my community or somewhere where I'm living at, and then you witness it firsthand. And luckily, the biggest thing is no one was seriously hurt, and no one died from that. Yeah,
no fatalities in that EF2 tornado. We do have a drone cam out here today, too, to show you a bird's eye view of how the rebuild has happened here in Taopi. It's really been remarkable, as I mentioned. 7 to 8 homes already rebuilt in this past year, and people wanted to stay in Taopi. Only a couple didn't come back, and it was actually because they were going to move out anyway because they were at that age where it was time to move to a different place.
They found a better home, I believe, in Austin, right? So they had a better situation. Everyone else decided to rebuild and stay right here. And I think that goes to show you the small town community that we have here in Taopi.
Yeah, we're going to introduce you to some really special people throughout this hour, and you'll hear some great stories, and we'll be live at 5 and 6 as well this evening. So we do have a question of the day because it's windy out here. You can see that.
It is really windy.
It's warm out. It's really warm.
Yeah, so the question of the day is, when was the last time Rochester had an 80-degree day?
It was 90. That's the question.
When was the last time we had
90? 90 degree
Oh, it was 90? Look, I thought we were doing 80.
90.
Oh, we went right up to 90.
I was going up to 90.
Oh,
Yeah.
went right up to 90. All right,
So,
when was the last 90 degree
That's
day?
the question.
Got any answers for me?
I know the answer because I wrote the question. So, yes. Guess, put your guesses on Facebook, and then we'll share the actual answer at the end of the show. Live from Taopi. We have to talk about weather now.
Yeah, let's talk about weather here.
My hat doesn't blow up.
Yeah, because it is windy outside here. The first graphic we're going to talk about, let's start with the tornado outbreak that we had in April 12th of 2022 here. We had 11 confirmed tornadoes from the National Weather Service. This was across our KDDC viewing area. Now let's focus specifically on the one here in Taopi. So this was estimated an EF2 tornado with estimated wind speeds at 130 miles per hour. So it was not on the ground very long, just about 6 to 7 minutes. It was first warned right around about 10:40 to 10:45, 10:46 p.m. That was, again, April 12th night. So some very strong winds and, of course, pretty devastating for a lot of the community members here. As we look here at some of those current temperatures that we have here in Rochester, so we still have temperatures for most of us sitting in the 80s here, and winds are strong. Winds will continue to be strong here tonight, anywhere from maybe 25 to even 35 miles per hour. Temperatures locally here getting into the 80s again today, and I think we will be pretty close to breaking the high temperature record here today. We'll have to wait and see what the actual high will be by the end of the day here once we have that climate report from the National Weather Service, because I do think we could potentially break a record for those high temperatures today. Winds are strong, and they'll continue to be strong here through most of the evening tonight. Winds anywhere from about 20 to maybe 25 miles per hour. Could have some gusts approaching about 30 to 35 miles per hour at times. As we look at your planner here through the rest of the night, temperatures will stay warm here this evening, and it will stay windy. You can hear it and you can see just looking on these cameras out here in Taopi. It is breezy and will continue to stay strong through the overnight hours tonight and into tomorrow. Still warm temperatures are on the way for tomorrow. We'll have more details on that. That will do it for your first weather. Now we're standing in front of what used to be the famous dollhouse photo that we saw, right? So where the whole entire side of the house was completely gone. Obviously, Angie has rebuilt.
Yeah, as we mentioned, this is a spot that many people remember when that tornado came through because the house was completely ripped to shreds. And Angie Schmitz is actually here today.
Yeah,
this is
her
new house she built. Let's go on inside and chat with her because she says, she admits, I should not be here today because of that tornado that came through.
Yeah, and she talked about that a lot that night, too, about how lucky they were to get out of the house that night. Angie, are you here?
Hello.
Hi,
Angie. Such a beautiful home. It smells brand new.
When did you finally get to move in here?
March 23rd.
March 23rd, so not too long ago.
Right, yep.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
So you have some pieces from the tornado. This is part of a barn that was at your parents' house?
That was my grandpa Floyd's barn, yep.
And that you decided to put in your house here, your brand new house.
Yep.
What's it been like for the community to rebuild? There's quite a few new houses here in town.
Yeah, it's been quite the adventure, fun, amazing, emotional, but well worth it.
What has kept Taopi together? Because it sounds like almost everyone is still here.
The small family, we know everybody.
Can you take me back to that night? I know I was here at about 2 a.m. They were evacuating the town. What was that like? Does it feel like it was a year ago?
It does not feel like a year ago, but I don't know. It was very emotional. Just everything and everybody running around trying to help each other, making phone calls. I calling my sister, call mom and dad, and making sure we're all okay.
Can you bring us back to that night a little bit? Because I know when I had talked to you the next day, you had mentioned to me that you're like, Nick, I'm lucky to still be here.
Yeah, I shouldn't be here. I was, from here to the door, from that wall disappearing, and I didn't get very far. I was at the top of the landing on the steps to get downstairs. Yeah, I shouldn't be here. Hearing that wind and taking the minute to get up and grab my glasses and run, her phone, but yeah, very scary, very surreal, and I don't know how to explain it.
Obviously, it's still emotional for you for right now. So, what is it like stepping into this brand new house in a place that you had such a dramatic type of experience?
It doesn't feel like this was where the old house was by any means. it's none of it's real.
Yeah.
Not at all.
What you want to touch on your sweatshirt? It says Taopi strong,
Yeah,
right?
that's been our theme since day one through the town. I can't even remember. Amanda Kellogg had these made for us, but we've got posters made. We went through all the parades this summer, thanking everybody for all the help on floats, and we all wore these shirts, just letting everybody know we are coming back. You know, the tornado didn't take us out, took our houses, but not us. You know.
How is your family doing? They also live in town here, your parents?
My parents still lived in town. That's where I stayed during the year, during the rebuilding process. They're doing good. They were amazing support, helping me all along the way. You know, Dad's pushing all the contractors and then watching my sister build, and, you know, it's been a process.
It's been a busy year.
Yeah, that's
and
for sure.
It doesn't feel like a year. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
You've gotten so much done in a year. Okay, we have to touch on this one more time. Explain a little bit more. When did you decide that this is what you were doing with your wall here in your living room?
I don't know. The barn, we wanted to do something with that wood to save it, to remember it, because the barn, it's not there anymore. And we grew up there playing in that barn, baling hay, unloading hay in there. So we just, I don't know, just wanted a piece of it in my house.
It looks so nice, and it's so special.
Right.
Yeah, it really is. And so, do you have any other pieces of maybe Taopi history that is around in your new house?
We have to show the bench.
We have to show the bench, right?
Let's go look at the bench. Oh, and before we leave, let's get a picture of the sign here. Who made this for you?
My niece, Braylon, who lives up the road, they lost part of their house as well.
Can you read it for us?
Not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some come to clear your path. Taopi strong.
Hashtag Taopi strong. 4/12/22 tornado, and you said you just came across this picture.
I just found that picture when I was going through stuff, and
So which room were you in?
I was there's my headboard. That's where I was sleeping.
Wow. And where were the stairs that you eventually went down?
Right behind that wall there.
Okay. Wow. And that was sitting right here.
That was sitting right here in the same spot, yep. And funny story is, I didn't know this wall was gone 100%. I couldn't get out of my house. Both the front door and the door on the west side were blocked. So I had told my sister that when I get up there and my nephew walks by and he says, well, Angie, why didn't you just go out that side?
You probably could have. It probably wouldn't have been the safest, but yeah, it was dark. You had no idea. What was it like the next day when you saw this in the daylight?
Very emotional, unbelievable. You know, not even realizing that had happened, that, you know, just a few hours prior.
Wow. Well, we are so happy that you are all here safe and sound. Yes, you lost some very precious memories and precious things, but your life, we're so happy that the town survived and only a couple injuries in that EF2 tornado. Okay, I got sidetracked. We're going to the bench now. Tell us about this awesome bench. First of all, beautiful bench. It's yellow. I love it, but there's more to the story.
My old house, it was old house, so it had all that old-fashioned woodwork. It had a pocket door in it and woodwork, and my one cousin, she's rebuilding or working on fixing up a house, and she grabbed a bunch of the doors from the house before we tore it down. And I thought she was going to put them in her house. Well, come to find out, they were building a bench out of the doors for my new house.
That's so special.
Do you know by any chance when that last house, I know we always called the doll house, right?
Yep.
When that was built?
The 1800s.
1800s.
Wow.
I have the deed and all that now, but I don't remember.
How long were you living there?
Not very long, maybe 4 years.
Okay, but you remembered that house growing up?
Yes. My good friend when I was growing up and we were little. So I spent a lot of time there as a child.
So I have one more quick question for you. How does it feel now to kind of see the town really start to reach those last couple steps of the recovery process? The houses are being built. A lot of things are new now around here. How does that make you feel? Maybe when you pull in right on Main Street here, right?
It's very overwhelming, you know, just to think that we are actually here today where we were a year ago, you know. I never would have guessed we would have all stayed in town and rebuilt, and I don't know, it's just awesome. This is going to be a great summer. We're all going to get together like we used to, and you know, every night there's somebody, we're at somebody's house just hanging out, having fun. Yeah.
Taopi strong, right?
Yeah.
Taopi strong.
Taopi strong indeed. Angie, thank you so much for inviting us into your home and sharing your story with us. I know it was a time that was very traumatic, and here we are a year later, but we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to chat with us.
Thank you.
Okay, let's have you sit on the bench and wave to us. We have to take a commercial break. We're going to get a shot of Angie waving here on her old door. in her new home here in Taopi. We do have to take a quick break. News headlines are coming up next.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Midwest Access. We are live here this afternoon in Taopi in Mower County, here the 1 year mark since the EF2 tornado last year.
Yeah, and this is a live look overhead at how the rebuild has been here in Taopi. It's time for some local news headlines, and our Zach Fuller joins us. And Zach, you remember a year ago, Zach and I and Nick, we were all working, and Zach and I actually drove to Taopi at about 1 in the morning, and the town was being evacuated. They wouldn't even let us in. How's it going, Zach?
Yeah, it's going good. It's great to see the rebuild that's happening in Taopi. And yeah, like you mentioned, we didn't leave the station until about 12:30. Got down to Taopi. We couldn't even get into the town, and Kamie had to talk to the fire chief and persuade him to talk to us, to tell us anything that we could get to the viewers that night. Well, time to get to some news headlines now. Well, Adam Fravel, the father of Madeline Kingsbury's children, released a statement saying he did not have anything to do with her disappearance. Released by his lawyer, the statement reads in part, "Over the course of the last 12 days, my family and I have been subject to a myriad of accusations regarding the disappearance of the mother of my children, Maddie Kingsbury. During these last 12 days, I've cooperated with law enforcement at every turn, including sitting down for multiple interviews with Winona County law enforcement. I did not have anything to do with Maddie's disappearance. I want the mother of my 5-year-old and 2-year-old to be found and brought home safely. I want that more than anything. Law enforcement advised me on April 2nd that they would not recommend that I attend the press conferences or that I assist in the searches due to safety concerns." You can read the full statement on our website, kttc.com, and we certainly will have much more on that in our 5 and 6 o'clock newscasts, including an exclusive interview with Adam's lawyer. Well, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and Iowa is taking this time to highlight Safe at Home and Address Confidentiality program. It's a program that makes sure sexual assault survivors' names do not appear on public records. This includes providing them substitute addresses. Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate says they work to make sure survivors feel safe, protected, and heard. He says they are seeing more cases of sexual assault and that preventing sexual assault is a multi-agency battle, but resources are available. Well, that's a look at your local headlines. Be sure to join us at 5 for the latest. Kamie.
Hey, all right, Zach, thank you so much. Again, we are live in Taopi. We're standing right outside the mayor's house, actually, here in Taopi. A great woman.
Yeah.
Mary's been so helpful.
She's been so kind.
Since the tornado hit.
Yes, and she allowed us to use her Wi-Fi today.
Yeah.
I mean, just small town Minnesota, man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So we'll be live here. We'll continue our trek here in Taopi. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here on Midwest Access. Our trek in Taopi continues 1 year after an EF2 tornado really flattened a majority of the town.
Yeah, and the house that we're standing in right now has been rebuilt. And actually, this camper just behind us, they had to get a brand new camper. We had talked to their mother, Susan. She said that their previous camper, when they came up from the basement, was on top of the garage.
Yeah.
So had to rebuild the garage and had to get a brand new camper.
Yeah, so this is one of the houses that had to, this one luckily not completely rebuilt, but a majority of it has been rebuilt. You can see the new shingles, you can see the new siding. We have the Swenson family here with us today. They were here when the tornado hit, and Mallory is mom along with the kiddos and your husband. Who do we have with you here today?
This is Keegan, my husband Scott, Gavin, and Braylon.
And you guys were all in the house when the tornado came through.
Yes.
Can you explain what that was like? Where were you? Some were watching TV, some were sleeping?
Yep, our youngest was downstairs, and Braylon and I were downstairs on the futon. Gavin was already in bed, and Scott was upstairs watching the news. And all of a sudden, he came running down and said we needed to take cover. And at that point, the windows were already breaking before we barely made it underneath of our steps.
And when you came up, what did you see?
Glass. I mean, there was just, it was just so dark, and I didn't realize that the roof was missing. I was on the phone with my sister asking if she was okay, and my son told me that the roof was gone. I didn't realize we were even getting rained on.
What were some of the emotions coming up from the basement and noticing that all that stuff was gone, the windows, the roof, all that?
A lot of heartache. Just, I was scared for my kids, what we were going to find when we went through everything, and a lot of fear.
Yeah. What all is new with the house? Because when we talked to your mom earlier today, she said that your camper was found on your garage. So new camper, new garage. What else had to be rebuilt?
Well, all our vehicles were totaled, our camper. Most of the the garage was completely gone, and then this part of the house was gone. And then the inside of it, that was mostly remodeled, but was it 6 rafters back on this part had to be replaced also.
How lucky do you guys feel? Even if any of the kids want to chime in too, the most important thing is
you're also here.
Right.
You're here, right?
Right. And that was the eye opener when we went to the kids' room and their windows were on their beds.
Yeah. But thankfully you guys were all together. I know you said you were watching the TV knowing that this could hit us, and it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, it happened fast. It almost chased us down the steps, the glass and everything. So.
And when you came up, you said, kids don't come up here. There's stuff everywhere. There's glass everywhere.
There's glass all over the steps, so I ended up throwing shoes and jackets downstairs, and then we came up. And
do you remember what it sounded like?
It was loud. The train sound that people talk about, it's real. We heard it.
So that night we had first responders from far and wide coming to help out Taopi, and we have a little story behind this helmet here. What more can you guys tell us about this helmet?
Well, at that point we didn't know. Scott, we went to go out the door. Scott's like, well, we'll just get in the car and leave. And we opened the door and he shut it. He said, yeah, I guess we're not leaving because everything was in our garage. And I was on the phone with Angie for a while, and she said, I called Mom and Dad, they're coming, and 911 is on the way. And so we just kind of, it was the waiting game, back and forth on the phone with her a lot. And I looked up in the door, and it was my Uncle Rick. And it's like, and then we knew we were going to be okay.
And this is the helmet? Mm-hmm. You were gifted this helmet? It's pretty cool. You want to put it on? You want to hold it? You like this helmet? That's a pretty special helmet. That's pretty special that you had a family member show up and you guys knew that you were safe. Taopi Strong? Is that what's on your shirt?
Yeah.
You're 13 years old? So what do you think? 1 year later, does it feel like it was a year ago that this all happened?
No.
It doesn't? Feels like it was almost yesterday. It sounds like you guys remember it quite vividly. Are you going to eat tonight in Adams? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Okay, we'll see you there, okay? Thanks for visiting with us. We appreciate it. Swanson family, thank you again. Live in Taopi, and we will continue to have more coverage from this town 1 year since an EF2 tornado touched down.
All right, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. We are live in Taopi, Minnesota, 1 year after an EF2 tornado took out many homes in this small Minnesota community.
Yeah, so that EF2 tornado estimated wind speeds at about 130 miles per hour, only on the ground for close to maybe 6 to 8 minutes, but it definitely left a mark here forever here in Taopi. And we've been hearing from people today. It's remarkable to see the recovery process with Taopi. Moving on now, our Zach Fuller is standing by live at the studio. So, Zach, you have some headlines coming up for us.
Yeah, we certainly do, Nick and Kamie. Definitely great to see the recovery fully underway in Taopi. Well, in news today, voters at the polls in the Winona Area Public Schools District have rejected a 2-question, multi-million-dollar referendum. Question 1 included creating personalized learning spaces at all 3 elementary schools, accessibility improvements at Jefferson and Kaziko, a remodel of the industrial tech wing at the high school, and space for a fitness area at the area learning center. Question 2 included adding a second gymnasium, new locker rooms, and renovating the fine art space at Winona Senior High. If both would have passed, the referendum would have been for $94 million. Well, today, a celebration of the future of the local Catholic Church. The Diocese of Winona-Rochester held a groundbreaking of its new pastoral center. Bishop Robert Barron hosted the ceremony at the site of the future facility across the street from Lourdes High School in Northwest Rochester. The funds for the new center were donated. The diocese hopes to move into the new building by May of next year. Well, that's a look at your local headlines. Be sure to join us at 5 for the latest. Kamie.
Right now, we've moved to Highway 56. If you've been to Taopi, you know that Highway 56 runs right through town.
Yeah, and remember on the 12th and then the 13th when we were here, this road was pretty much nearly impassable. Yeah. There was power lines down, trees. Obviously, a much different story a year later.
Absolutely. You can see the Taopi sign there right behind us. We have a farm, we have the Taopi sign, and now to this side, we have a new house that's being built. There was a different house here before, and Lisa Bowe is the homeowner of this new house. So your former house was here, but it was taken out by the tornado.
It was, yep. Garage was completely gone, and basically it was a split-level home, and the top part of the house was pretty much gone, other than closets.
So how has the rebuild process been for you?
It's been good. You know, contractors, getting supplies, things like that. There's always those when you weren't expecting to get into a project this size. But, you know, it's coming along, and we've just been trying to keep our patience and, you know, just let the process happen. If it's going to be, it'll be.
And I should mention we have Susan over here.
Yeah, we do.
Kiefer. We're going to chat with her in just a bit. That's Angie's mom, actually.
Angie's mom, yes.
Town. She has some interesting stories from a year ago as well. But what do you think of the house? It looks amazing.
It is, you know, some people will be like, well, now you can build your dream home. And I said, I've never thought about building a dream home. So it was a quick process to come up with what that might look like. But I'm loving the process now that we're really getting close to being done. It's coming together, and we're falling in love with more and more every day.
How important was it to stay here in Taopi, right? Everyone has the Taopi Strong shirts on. How important was it to rebuild where the last house was?
Yeah, for me it was really important. Like, you know, I had a Taopi address my whole entire life, except for when I was off to school for college for a couple years, and then now this last year, obviously, being displaced. But so Taopi's always had a place in my heart, and just being a part of this community, especially after going through something like this, I couldn't see us anywhere else.
Susan, why don't you come with us? We're going to walk over here. We'll show off the beautiful home right here, but we have this flag that we have to show. Again, this house, one of many that has been rebuilt, but actually pretty remarkable, Nick. This is really the only one under construction. The rest have already been rebuilt.
So everyone else, we had talked to Angie earlier. She had just moved in about 2 to 3 weeks ago, so just one house left. We were talking to Lisa earlier too, right? It's about 7 or so different houses, completely new, and then of course other ones they've been remodeling a little bit here.
Yeah,
so Taopi's strong. That's been the theme all day today.
What does it say here? Left us a little twisted, but we are Taopi strong. Did you make this flag?
I did. Yes. Yep, we made them, and we displayed them at parades this last summer to try to say thank you to all the people that supported us, and now hopefully display them here and keep showing our strength. So.
Yeah, and Susan Kiefer, your family is one of the many that is Taopi strong. You have quite a few family members that live here in Taopi.
Yes, I have 2 daughters and I have a son. 2 daughters' houses were taken down, but they're okay. That's what counts. So yeah, we were fortunate. We just had enough. Some daycare toys. I did daycare. They were swept out of my backyard. We didn't get hit at all.
And you were just a couple houses away.
Yes. We were. There was another set of houses next to us, and they got minimal damage. And then us, we had no damage to the house.
Can you walk us through that process that night? So with you were woken up in the middle of the night, right? And then just trying getting that phone call from Angie.
My husband and I had gone to bed, and we were sleeping. We both wear CPAP machines. The electricity went off, and we jumped up. I was looking out the north window, and Earl was looking out the east window, and I could hear the roar of the tornado. And just like that, the lightning hit, and I could see stuff going straight across the window. So, dumb me, we didn't run. But then just a couple minutes later, we got a call from Angie, and she said, Dad, my house is gone. So then we jumped in the pickup to go get down there, and we couldn't get down the back street. So we tried coming down 56, and we did run over one electricity line down, and we got to the second one, and it was only like 10 feet off the ground, and cars were still coming through. So we stayed there with our flashers on, so people wouldn't, until somebody got there to watch it.
Well, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yes.
And you will be at the supper tonight.
Yes, I will be. Yes, I will.
In Adams.
Yes.
Well, we'll see you there. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Yes.
To chat with everyone.
Yes.
Thanks again for chatting with us.
Thank you.
All right, should we leave with a shot of this flag?
We
here?
should.
Because Taopi Strong, that's all we're hearing today, and it's very visible in the community because there are houses rebuilt left and right here in Taopi, and really no one left Taopi. They it's a little windy.
It's so windy down here today. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it's something that we'll continue to cover throughout our 4 o'clock here, as well as in 5 and 6. We have to take another quick break. We'll be back live from Taopi in just a bit.
Hey, welcome back to Midwest Access. Here we are live in Taopi. Today marks 1 year since the EF2 tornado devastated this small community in Mower County. Now, I'm standing in one of the spots that is left in Taopi that has not been rebuilt. It's still barren. Just behind me is where the rusty rails used to be at. It used to actually be a dance hall. Hasn't been rebuilt yet, but there is some word that maybe some plans are in the future of maybe some rebuilding. I believe we have a drone shot up of where we're standing at right now, and again, there was a couple different buildings that were at least standing just before that EF2 tornado last year as that rolled through. We'll switch over to weather graphics for us here as we look at the tornado survey from the National Weather Service from that date. Okay, so EF2 tornado max wind speeds at about 120 or 130 miles per hour. We had a max width of the tornado right around about 475 yards. So it was a pretty large tornado, and again, pretty strong winds at right around 130 miles per hour. Let's take a look at those high temperatures from today. We had record highs in Rochester and in Mason City today. So some record heat. We could even have record heat coming up for tomorrow too. Live conditions right now in Rochester. We have warm temperatures. We're in the 80s, so mid and low 80s. We have strong winds. It is really breezy out here in Taopi here this afternoon. Temperatures right now locally still in the 80s. This is the first time we've been in the 80s for most of us this calendar year. Winds will continue to be strong here. So through the evening tonight, we'll have winds about 20 to maybe even 30 miles per hour. Some gusts approaching about 35. We'll take a look at those headlines here for us. The rest of the evening tonight, we are mainly clear, warm and windy here tonight. Tomorrow for Thursday, we will have some sunshine, breezy and warm. Then this weekend, some big changes are in store for us. Maybe not for the better. As we look here at future track through the rest of the night, mainly clear skies and quiet. Tomorrow, we'll have some strong winds out of the south again as we move through the day tomorrow. Temperatures will be warm, and we'll drop those temperatures down just slightly Thursday night extending into Friday. As we look at our precip planner here through the next couple days, we will be dry through at least most of Thursday and into Friday. Late Friday night extending into Saturday, we'll start to work in that chance for some showers, maybe even some rumbles of thunder on the way for Saturday, and maybe even a wintry mix on Sunday. Yeah, we could see some light snow potentially early Sunday morning. Tonight's forecast here, overnight lows into the upper 50s and some lower 60s here tonight. We're mainly clear. Winds will be strong. Tomorrow, winds are strong yet again. We'll have some sunshine. High temperatures will be right back into the 80s. Could be another record breaker for tomorrow. 7-day forecast here. We'll have high temperatures kind of all over the place the next couple of days. Warm again tomorrow and Friday, and then cold for this upcoming weekend. That'll do it for your Weather Authority forecast.
Welcome back to Midwest Access. We continue our visit to Taopi 1 year after an EF2 tornado took out a large portion of the town.
Yeah, and right now we're on 1st Street here in Taopi, and we're joined by the mayor here. The
Mary
mayor.
Huntley. We've seen a lot of Mary, unfortunately, because of
Yes.
this unfortunate tornado that hit town, but the town has really recovered, and we have a few of these signs throughout town.
We do. Every house has one, thanks to one of our good citizens here who shared that with everyone.
Yeah, Taopi strong.
Taopi strong. Mary, why don't we take a little walk here? So your house, at least the path of the tornado, okay, so it was just a little bit farther this way. Okay?
Right.
So most of the damage, at least with a lot of the houses that had to be rebuilt, are looking on the other side of Main Street here, right?
That's exactly right.
So tell me a little bit about the recovery process that you guys have been going through for the past year.
Well, we've been on a good course, a much quicker trajectory than we ever thought we would be, because you'll see when you look around, we've got all kinds of new housing going up. Many of our citizens, most of the people have moved back into town, brand new homes, beautiful, and we are working on a plan to put a community center back in town.
Perfect.
But that's going to be, next year. here. We're going to start some serious fundraising soon.
So with us standing right here, if we look over on this direction, so what's new out that way? What is all new?
Just about everything that you see is new, because when we go down to the house at the end, they were able to save a small portion of their house, but mostly rebuilt. The horse barn, completely new. These two houses you see next, the gray house, the green house, completely new. And then if we go across to the south side of First Street here, Tracy's house is new, the blue one. Lisa's house is almost done down there on the highway. And beyond that, you see two more. One had a major renovation, one almost completely new. So all of that, the whole center of town is brand new.
And the interesting part was the older houses were actually on this side of town.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, yeah, the path that the tornado took out the older homes. And so as it cut across, we really did. This part of town, my side, the east side half of town, we had a lot of roof damage here, siding, but we were all safe and sound. We all had dry houses. So we were okay. And that allowed us to get out and just come to this side of town. And yeah, it was like a demarcation line here. From here, we were pretty good. And from here, there was just nothing.
Wow. And you are a woman of your people. You know every person that lives here in town. Were you surprised that pretty much everyone rebuilt here in Taopi?
I really was. The first night, I'm also always hopeful. Always look to the best, because, you know, people are surprise you with how good they are, because it's the homeowners. They're the ones who took the brunt of the discomfort of leaving their homes, and also the financial burden of rebuilding last year, this year, with costs the way they are. It wasn't easy, and they made the sacrifice to come back here. So, you know, I'm just totally in awe of what they've done.
What buildings, because I know there's a couple buildings that haven't been rebuilt, and there is some barren land here in Taopi.
There sure is. When you first come into town from the west, you'll see there's a lot missing, because my mother's home was totally destroyed, and she was not able.
Grew up.
That is where I grew up. My home all my life. My mother had started that house with Dad 72 years ago. They moved in there, raised all of us kids there. And so, but that house was totally destroyed. It was old. It just couldn't be rebuilt, couldn't be saved at all. And she was 94, so she moved in with me that night. And that's what needed to happen, and that was good. And then the next building used to be an old dance hall and bar. The Rusty Rail was very popular back when I was much younger. And that could not be rebuilt. It couldn't be saved. And those people decided to they took a home in Austin that was better for their health. They also had some issues that they just found a better place for them at this stage in their life. But after that, we lost our town hall. And so we're trying to get an action going to rebuild the town hall with a community center. So bigger, better, especially to honor these families that made such a commitment to stay with us. The town's making a commitment to improve our city for them, too.
How excited are you for tonight? We have a big supper in Adams, and you get to chat with a lot of people 1 year later.
We do. And I'm very excited about tonight because it's going to be good. And I didn't realize it until just the last few days, because as I went around and talked to people about, now you're coming to the party, yeah, I realized I didn't hear their stories. We weren't telling each other stories back then. We were saying, what do you need? How can we help? Here I am with this. So we didn't get to hear the stories ourselves. So tonight, you know, and it's going to be kind of a nice party with, you know, just the people from here in town. We can sit down, share a meal, share a couple of drinks maybe, and at 10:44, we're going to lift a glass and remember, we win in the end.
Wow,
we came out better as we hoped we would, and we knew we would.
Yeah, well, we look forward to that. We'll see you over there. Thank you so much,
Mary,
for chatting with us. You've been so helpful throughout this entire process.
Oh, thank you.
Because I know it's been quite a year for you as well.
Yes, it has been, but it's been a good year. A year of growth and something we never thought we'd see here. But this is all good.
All right, thank you so much, Mary.
All right, thank you.
All right, more to come on Midwest Access. We do have to answer our question of the day, and we can get out of the way here because we're standing in the middle of the road here in Taopi. But everyone's nice. He was just waiting for us like a nice guy. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's answer our question of the day. It's weather related because it's a pretty nice day out here today.
Yeah, it's really warm, really windy. It'd be nice without the wind here. The last time Rochester had a 90-degree day, all the way back, September 20th.
Yes.
It's funny, we talked about this on the drive here, that we actually had our last 90-degree day before we had our last 80-degree day.
Which is really weird.
Which makes no sense. We went from like the 70s to 90 to all of a sudden a low of 33 a couple nights after we hit 90. Record high temperature today here in Rochester, so warm today. It'll continue to be warm the next couple days too.
Yeah, more than 200 days ago.
Yeah, was it 201 or something like that?
Yeah, so I'm waiting for it to get warm again. It's warm today, and we are live in Taopi. Of course, it has been 1 year since the EF2 tornado crushed part of town. We have some video showing what it looked like days after that tornado hit through, and it was
devastating.
Yeah.
It was devastating to see cars overturned and thrown close to 50 to 100 yards from that EF2 tornado, 130 mile per hour speeds there. But it's fantastic to see the recovery process, and everyone continued to have the same kind of story, the same theme: Taopi strong.
Taopi strong. That is the theme today, and we will continue to have live coverage from Taopi in our 5 and 6 o'clock newscasts. Have a great day, everyone.